Okay, I'm now going to call General Committee to order. It's 5:03 p.m. on October 1st. The meeting's being held in person electronically in accordance with the Municipal Act. The first item on the agenda is the consent agenda. For these items, I'll read out the title associated with the recommended motions printed on the agenda. Members of General Committee may ask the item be held to discuss it further. If an item is not held, the motion is deemed to be approved on consent. No further discussion of the item will take place at General Committee, and the recommended motions will go forward at tonight's City Council meeting for consideration. The first item is CAO 001-25. It's approved on consent. The next matter is DEV 039-25. You need to hold that.
Hold, please.
Held by Deputy Mayor Thompson. ECD 007-25. It's approved on consent. ECD 009-25. That's approved on consent. Okay, we're going to go back to what was held, DEV 039-25, which is the update on development charge waiver holiday. And Deputy Mayor, I'll give the floor to you.
Thank you, Mayor Nuttall. I'll put the motion on the floor as printed, and I have an amendment. That the original DC waiver upset limit of 30 million be changed to 80 million of funds be administered on a first come, first served basis until the limit is reached, provided applicants meet all eligible requirements, and I can speak to that.
The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor Nuttall. So, you know, I think I used the term, we throw spaghetti against the wall and hope some of it sticks, and I think your rebuttal to that was, and the CIO cleans it up. It's kind of nice when council look at all opportunities to try to incentivize development. As you know, we're in a housing crunch and crisis, and we've actually had a really good uptake in people calling and looking to enter into this program, which would probably, and I don't want to be quoted on the numbers, but I think I worked it out, it'll be probably 400 or 500 affordable units, and probably in around the, I think it was about 4,500 units or 2,500. Yeah, about 2,500 units, sorry. So, you know, being my second term and, you know, almost starting my 8th year, I have to believe that the things this council's done and looked at and tried every possible way to create the environment for some, you know, a little bit of an incentive towards getting out of the housing crisis in Barrie, I think we're succeeding. And I think it's a great initiative, and I believe that this will be something that'll be duplicated across Ontario when they see the uptake. And, you know, I think we've removed some barriers to achieve what we set out at the beginning of our term with affordability, as it still rates very, very high amongst our community. So I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Okay, so we have an amendment on the floor that is to move the number from 30 million to 80 million of the DC waiver limit. So the current limit that we approved, members of committee, was the $30 million, and that was with the taxation on each of the buildings once they're complete. 50% of it would go into the proper coffers that it usually does, and 50% of that would be diverted back to the DC account to build up the repayment of whatever is waived today at this point. The two dates that matter, as far as I know, are December 31st, which is the time which a building needs to have a permit, and Ms. Banfield, I just want confirmation. Is that correct?
Mayor Nuttall, so the way staff are interpreting the deadlines, or the first kind of deadline to pass, is to get to the December 31st, 2025 date to apply for a building permit, and then the next date is going to be that May 31st, 2026 date to ensure that building activity has commenced. So it won't be enough to just pick up your permit before December 31st. There'll be the expectation that construction and development is happening.
Amazing, thank you. And so those are the two dates, and I kind of want to, is it okay if members of council, if I go on the record up front here? I have zero appetite to change those dates. If somebody comes in on January 2nd, not our problem. If somebody comes in on June the 2nd, not our problem, okay? I think that I'd be more likely to do what we're doing here, which is increase the total number, than I am to change the dates. And the reason for that is because my belief in this program is really centered around getting affordable housing units built. And if we change the date for one, then this thing's going to go on forever. And I think that if we want to have that conversation about a second period, later on, it's going to have to be after the election, because there'll be a blackout period that starts at some point in that summer. And whoever is elected to council at that point can have that conversation. But in terms of these affordable housing units, having a set time, getting the market rent buildings up, it makes sense to me to get as much in there as possible in this time period, but we cannot be weak with the time period. If somebody misses it, it's on them, right? They've got months, they've got now 3 months, 3 months today, to get these permit applications in, and then they've got another 5 months after that to commence construction, get into the ground, get cranes in the air, and get it built. This is to fight what we've dealt with already, which is approving all these units and them sitting on somebody's shelf somewhere, right? So for me, like, we have to have a hard line on these dates. Please don't come back saying, but that one spent $500,000 getting the plans done and they didn't get in the ground on time and now they've sewered themselves. That just ain't our problem, okay? The other piece on this I think is really important is one thing I've been quite encouraged by, and I think that we need to really take notice of, is how it's spread out. I can't remember who was having the conversation. Was it you, Councillor Reitman? Yeah, we have, and so, like, I think there's some in Ward 1, some in Ward 3, there's some in Ward 8, there's some in Ward 2, there's some in Ward 9, right? Like, we're not in the business of creating projects, right? We're in the business of creating housing that's affordable inside another set of housing, and making sure that there's integration amongst people so they can learn from each other, both those who have less means learning from those who have more means, and those who have more means learning what it is to have less means. I think these are all good societal things. So I'm very encouraged by this. I think it's shocking the amount of uptake we have. To be honest, I didn't expect that, but I think it's a very, very good thing. And all of these properties so far fall inside of the existing boundary and are on serviced properties. And as the CAO will remind us over and over again, because he reminded me this again yesterday, and so I just want to be completely transparent, right? The DC bylaw doesn't reflect, well, they are on existing services, so they really don't cost the system that much. It's like, this is the type of unit, that's the cost, right? So it's not fair to say they don't cost us anything, but in comparison, they don't cost us anything. It just isn't recognized inside the DC bylaw that way, and it's not recognized by the province that way. And I wish, and we've been begging, we asked the Minister of Municipal Affairs last time we were with him, please change the DC bylaw so that, the DC, not bylaw, but the Municipal Act, to allow us to be able to pick and choose where it makes sense to have DCs at levels, because we're not allowed to do that right now in terms of development by development. So I'll be quiet now and open up to more questions. I've got Councillor Harvey, and then I've got Councillor Reitman, and then I've got Councillor Nixon, Everyone, okay.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Nuttall. I do support this. Just a couple of questions, though, through you to staff. Obviously, one of the alternatives is to increase it to 65 million. So it's kind of a two-part question. Obviously, this is bumping it up to 80 or 85. I can't remember what he's 80. Is it still all coming from the tax capital reserves? And is it going to put additional pressure on that particular reserve, or are we good with what this amendment is seeking to accomplish?
Through you, Mayor Nuttall, to Councillor Harvey. So, Councillor Harvey, the tax capital reserve has about a $77 million balance in it at the end of 2025. So there will be some pressure, but I think the idea here is, as the mayor mentioned, the repayment is 50% is to come from taxes that are to be provided by these developments over time. So, staff's in a position where, I think read the report, if you will. We've indicated that there are going to be some concerns on the tax capital reserve, but again, understanding that council, I believe, wants to support affordable units, and so we'll take direction as is.
Okay, thank you for that. Yeah, no, I can see what's in the report. I just, obviously with an additional 15 million on top of one of the alternatives, I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't going to put us into a very precarious position, let's put it that way, because yes, I know on the back end, there's obviously funds that will come forward to replenish it. And obviously we are in a housing crisis, so I do agree with that, but thank you.
Councillor Reba.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I guess a couple of questions along the lines of what Councillor Harvey was asking is, we have a list here of that totals about 65 million. Is there a reason for going to 80 million? Do we have other applications now?
So I believe there's not any right now because of the ceiling was already met, but I've received some calls from people who are looking at this, and so I thought, I don't want to be the one that picks the winners and losers. So if we put a limit where we feel that we're able to get everybody who would like to participate in it to participate in it, I think we achieve the maximum amount of affordable units.
Okay. And I guess I want to speak in favor of going in this route. The only concern that I have is if we're going to go to 80 million and there's 70 some in the tax capital reserve, we're going to be running out of money here be short for a little bit. So I'm really interested in some more explanation of how that's going to work.
Mr. Schmidt.
Through you, Mayor Nuttall, to Councillor Rietma. So Councillor Rietma, again, the repayment is going to become, 50% of it will be coming over time through property taxes that will be generated through the redevelopment of these properties. With regards to the DC Act, we're required to make ourselves whole. So we will have to draw on those funds into our DC reserves to make them whole. But again, I think from perspective of looking at this, again, right now we have about 65 million that are interested. Whether or not they meet all the criteria and actually get shovels in the ground by May 31st of next year is still yet to be determined. So
That's it. Thanks.
Wonderful. I now had Councillor Harris.
Thank you, Mayor Nuttall. And first of all, I just want to say, Deputy Mayor Thompson, I think your description of this program was exceedingly humble to say it was throwing spaghetti against the wall. I think this was a really effective idea, and we can see by the response, the development charge holiday program has created significant interest in the development community, which has far exceeded the $30 million cap. So this is a great idea. This is not spaghetti against the wall, so kudos on that. I guess my question would be, as it relates to, there's two items here. There's the amount allocated, there's the time frame, and maybe, Mayor Nuttall, I appreciate you speaking to the importance of having a date and having a line where it begins and it ends. Just curious as it relates to, we have 65 million estimated calculation right now, moving to 80 with the same deadline. Is it the assumption that we'll have enough applications to make that, or we could fall short, I guess, is one of the possible outcomes. There's just no harm in then it went to 75 instead of 80. That's a possible outcome. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think we've had a lot of questions about it. And the reality is, like, our own staff are saying, like, we don't believe everybody that you're sending over that's come to you, Mayor, is ready to do what they think they're ready to do, which is probable because 9 out of 10 times our team knows what's up, right? So, you know, I think that it's probable that we won't get there to the 80. But for me, as I look at it and I look at the comparison, the cost versus going through the county for affordable housing, I think this is a no-brainer. You know, and I think that there's conversations, if this works, right? If we get there and $80 million gets taken, there's actually conversations we need to have with the county, like, you know, $100 million through the county delivers 215 units in the city of Barrie. Somewhere about that, or in the county. I think I'm mixing up my numbers now, but $100 million has delivered maybe 220 is just Barrie. So if you include Aurelia and so on, I think it's 373. Versus what we're able to do at 80 million would be delivering a higher threshold with no annual costs. And so I think that there is, if this works, like, I don't think we should be claiming success yet, but I think we should set it up for the ability for it to succeed at the highest threshold possible, because everything I'm seeing is more efficient use of tax dollars than going through the county. And the other piece I'll just add on to that is, remember, when we're going through the county, we're taxing the public and then sending it to the county, right? And then when we're going through this program, we're taking a DC, a future DC essentially, to finance these units happening. So we're taking from the development community in order to see this through.
Yeah, and thank you for that explanation. Having, again, just reaffirming that I support the amendment. I think if we get to there, that's a good outcome. And if we don't, I think it's good to have aspired to. So thank you.
Councillor Negussi and then Councillor Nixon.
Thank you, Mayor Nadal. First, I would like to say thank you to our staff for the comprehensive report and managing this pilot program so effectively. So I just want to say thank you. Mayor Nadal, just a quick clarification in order to avoid the confusion. If we hit $80 million before the due date, can we announce that the DC waiving program is officially closed? Are we going to announce that?
Well, we won't know that till May the 31st, right? Because if we get applications for permits in, it doesn't mean that they actually construct. So it's going to be very difficult to know for 100% where we're at unless everyone starts construction early. So it's feasible that we'll get applications and there'll be agreements signed and all of it will happen by the 31st of May. And it's also feasible that it won't all happen by the 31st of May.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. I support this, and here is why. The response from the development community clearly demonstrates that this initiative is working, and we are seeing real momentum towards increasing the supply for purpose-built rental housing in our city, including hundreds of affordable units, which is exactly what we need to the current housing climate. While it is important that we remain fiscally responsible, this program has shown that targeted, time-limited financial tools can make a meaningful impact. I believe this is a strong example for policy turning into action, and I support this amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Negussi. Councillor Nixon.
Thank you, Mayor Nuttall. Yeah, I think one thing that, we tend to get fixated on the, the 30 million, the 64 million, now the 80 million. I mean, they're big numbers. And the thing that we need to also keep in mind, as was previously mentioned, was that eventually this money is recouped, I mean, I'm not a big fan of empty lots. We've got our share of them in Ward 2 and some prime locations that have been growing weeds for a long, long time. And yeah, we get a little property tax from those empty lots, but nothing close to what we get when there's something built on it, I did a little math. This is based on the $64 million figure. But, based on the average property tax that you get and I've kind of based everything on one bedrooms because that's going to be the majority of them, but and the average property tax, you're looking at the old numbers, you're looking at about 7.6 years, to get the money back once they're built in property tax, so it does come back and then it keeps going forever. So it's not a giveaway. It's something that we're putting out there to entice builders to go ahead and do it, who are close, but they just needed, a little help. I think we've both had conversations over the last year with many large developers, small developers, saying basically, what do we need to do, to get you guys to build? It's an uncertain time, interest rates, everything else going on, the uncertainty south of the border. And I think it was proposed to several, what if we just got rid of it altogether? Would you build? And many came back and said, no, we're not doing it. So I commend those on this list and those who may be added to this list for having the confidence in the City of Barrie and having the wherewithal to go ahead and get it done. Based on these numbers, based on 315 affordable units, that's a big deal, and if it goes to 80, maybe that's 450 affordable units, but that is a big number. And so having said that, I'll definitely be supporting it.
Yeah, thanks so much, Councillor. Appreciate it. Any other questions or comments? I'm seeing none, so we'll call the vote. All those in favor? And it carries unanimously. That was the only piece of business for General Committee that was held. But what we will do is go through the, we're not going to do inquiries and announcements here. We'll do those later on at Council. The circulation list for October 1st. Any items on the circulation list? October 1st, just today. Okay. Yep, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Nuttall. And I should have probably let the chief know, but September 28th was for asking residents the Barrie Fire Challenge with the Save the Beep to check your fire smoke detectors and stuff. And it is a proven fact that they save lives. So if anybody missed that, maybe over the weekend they could do that. So I just wanted to highlight that.
Thank you. I cook once a year and we make sure they're working when that happens. Any other items in the circulation list? I'm seeing none. So we'll adjourn the meeting at 5:27 p.m. We'll be coming back into the chamber